Hello, everyone. I'm Patrick Pallas on behalf of the National Conference of Bar Presidents. And today we're checking in with the president of the Washington State Bar, Rajeev Majumdar. And Rajeev, thank you for taking a few minutes to talk with us. I want to take this opportunity to hear what's happening in Washington and how it is that you're handling this COVID-19 crisis. But before I ask you that, can I ask you something just a little more basic?
Of course, Patrick.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. You know, as an introvert, this is actually a little bit of a paradise to me. No clients coming into the office. You know, no other attorneys running around the office either. I virtualized the rest of my attorneys in the office.
Chance to get a little bit of work done.
Yeah, so I can actually, or you know, at least do the unpaid work of bar administration. Yes.
Understood. Well, talk to me about what's happening. I mean, you've taken over the helm of the Washington State Bar. And what happens as you take it over? Boom, COVID-19. Tell me what you guys are doing.
Of course. Well, as you know, Washington was hit earlier on with the infections, and the state started reacting earlier than some other states. So we've had to scramble, to do a number of things at State Bar. The very first thing we did was we decided that, well, our main headquarters are downtown in Seattle, the epicenter of things going on in King County. And we have a staff of almost 150 people, 137 people. And we have very successfully pivoted, even though we weren't really prepared to do so, to an all virtual entity that has maintained continuity of services for our members and the public. The only real change is that people can't physically approach or enter our building. In fact, our own staff aren't in our building by and large. There's a few essential services for mail and stuff like that. But and we're really proud of that. The WSBA has pivoted to do all regulatory aspects, discipline aspects, and member services virtually, and we're getting back to people in a prompt and timely manner. So at least I've heard anecdotally. The other thing is that we have established a Corona task force to get member input and perspective and distill all of that, contain it all, triage it, figure out what issues are important both to the public and the membership, get it to the WSBA internal staff, which has a parallel WSBA internal task force working on how can we get information to the public and the members and what information is most important to work on.
How long ago did you get the task force up and running? What kind of lead time have you had?
Pretty short lead time. A task force about 2 weeks ago. I made a proclamation. I assembled it. They had gotten assembled by Friday. Their first meeting of this 7 days ago, I think, or 6 days ago. To identify and triage issues that we've been collecting as an organization already, and my inbox is flooded, so I think I provided a good percentage of all the topics coming in. And we recruited people from rural practices, young lawyers, people from technology practices, staff members. In fact, the chair of the committee is both chairing the internal task force and the external task force, a great attorney named Kevin Platchy, who's our Director of Advancement and Member Services.
So what's on that? What's on your agenda for the task force? And one of the reasons I ask is, you know, this interview will be seen by other bar leaders, and I love that bar leaders are sharing their ideas across the board on what works and what doesn't work. And I'm very interested to hear what it is the task force is focusing on and how that's working for you.
Yeah, so they've broken it down into a couple areas: the membership, the public, and inside membership. Look, common areas that all our people are facing, especially in practice management, especially small, medium-sized firms that don't have professional management in place or the capacity to have already been virtual. So meeting with clients, social distancing, working remotely, keeping their businesses afloat, and how do you deal with licensing the WSBA? And then in practice areas, we've divided it into criminal law areas and civil law areas, and how we're dealing with the courts, opposing counsel. And our Washington courts have been pretty progressive and aggressive about how we're dealing with these matters. They've assembled a webpage where all the local courts and all the court rules are being assembled. And we have civil matters interfacing with counsel, how we're filing documents with courts, given that a lot of courts have stopped all civil matters whatsoever in terms of hearing unless they're emergent in nature. Deadlines, how we're going to deal with electronic signatures, notarizations, or how do we deal with that? And then there's some obscure,
Is this website you've put together, web page, is it a collective of resources so that people that are both lawyers and non-lawyers, but for the moment lawyers, can go to see where the court orders are, what the state of affairs are, that kind of thing?
So the WSBA has created 2 web pages, so we don't conflate all the information together. One, a COVID-19 website for the membership, and one COVID-19 website for the public. So there's different resources being available. One focusing on access to justice and how people can get access to justice and deal with their legal problems during this time or their court dates as pro se, and one for the membership regarding member resources, practice management tools, how to direct the public to legal tools, and the court systems. And one of those links is the unified court page that all courts are supposed to be reporting their rule changes to. I know I caught one and sent them a little letter that wasn't on there.
Well, I love that you've created this web page, both one for the public and one for lawyers. I'm wondering, I know that WSBA is pushing it out. What kind of feedback are you getting? What kind of usage rates are you getting, if you know?
I don't know the usage rates of the website, but I do know in response to the emails I've been trying to send out, and I'm going to try to back off because don't want to fatigue the members, but I've sent out about 3 emails, averaging out 1 every 7 days, updating. The first one was kind of, look, this is what we're doing with the WSBA to serve you, and we're virtualizing it. And I had a strong message in there about, as lawyers, we need to come together for society and be our best, the paragons of our profession, because we need to help each other, not take advantage of the situation, and we need to extend grace to one another. The second email was about all the resources we've assembled, the Corona Task Force starting, and what we've done, and really rolling out the web page, and it's close to final form in terms of getting the resources to the members. And then my email earlier this week was to resolve the question about essentiality, which is the #1 email I'm getting and the bar staff are getting, or we were, until I sent out that email. Once I sent that email, the questions actually really dropped off, and the chatter on the listservs dropped off because there was communication of an official type. And I think that's what lawyers everywhere want. They want to hear, is there a decision, in their decision, or what the status of things are. And at least if you're telling them what things are, there's no ambiguity about what.
Opening up those doors for communication so you can get out to your 40,000 members is critical as a bar leader and a bar president. So I'm glad you've opened those doors. There's a number of issues that I think all bar presidents are dealing with in one form or another. And I'm wondering if you can just give me just a bullet point answer to what it is that the WSBA and what it is that you're doing as president on these issues. First one is essential services. 36 states have issued proclamations, at least as of last week. 26 find that lawyers are essential. What are you doing here in Washington?
So in our state, they've declared lawyers are essential, when dealing with critical services. And that's the big question. Well, what are critical services? I mean, when there's a dispute between parents where a child has been removed by force, is that a critical service or not returned according to a parenting plan? I would argue yes. My position is that the work, by and large, most of the work lawyers do is essential, because what lawyers are peacemakers. We are the mechanism that resolves disputes in society, and that's one of the basic foundations of our modern civilization. That being said, the Board of Governors weighed this question. The court did not weigh into this question deliberately, and now our task force has weighed into the question. And the answer from all those sides has been that we can't create an answer, one-size-fits-all answer, because we know that not everything lawyers do require them to come down to the office and have their staff in the office and expose them to dangers and contribute to the public health risk. But I really do believe what lawyers do is essential. We need to find ways to virtualize and get that work done still. Because
so you guys are working on providing a response back to the governor to help better identify what essential for lawyers means?
Yes and no. The Corona Task Force actually has that question on their docket, and they didn't get to it on Friday. But by and large, the interpretation is, and some lawyers have been submitting the question to the governor, set up a website where people can ask if their business qualifies, and a lot of lawyers have been asking and getting the answer that they are essential and sending that feedback in, and we've been sharing that with the task force.
In the short time we have remaining, let me just ask you one more issue about how you're dealing with some of the problems that have come up. The other big issue nationally is what to do with the bar exam, and states are weighing in on how they're going to approach this. What are you doing in Washington to decide whether you suspend it, push it off, continue at another date, have it, don't have it? What's your plan?
So our regulatory department addressed that early on in March, and the law schools, of course, were all very concerned about this as well, and their deans were inquiring what was happening. And with the feedback and input of them, the WSBA considered a whole range of options. I won't get into all the nitty-gritty details, but they had about 9 different possible courses of action they've evaluated. Currently, the plan is we believe we can safely provide, with appropriate social distancing, the current bar exam as scheduled. That being said, we've also reserved the same space 3 months later in September, in case we need, in case that is impossible to do by either law or circumstance or our ability to facilitate it. We've also kicked around ideas about potentially extending limited privileges to people. Of course, that's a court decision. So we'd have to be asking the Supreme Court of Washington for those kind of permissions and exceptions to court rules. But it's important, one, we want to make sure these young people who have invested so much time and energy into getting to this point have an opportunity to join the profession. But we also want to make sure that people who do enter the profession are qualified. Like most states, Washington's bar exam is a rigorous one, and it weeds out, that's maybe an over harsh word, but it says that 25% to a third of law students aren't yet ready or qualified to practice law according to that criteria. And I think that's significant. Washington has a great reputation for a high caliber of legal practice. Sets of luminaries is Patrick Pallas. And we want to make sure that we protect the public and protect the profession of law by making sure that we're providing services that are of quality. But we want to give everyone the opportunity to get into that step also.
So Rajeev, if other bar leaders around the country want to take a look and see what Washington is doing, where would they go to find information about your task force, your internal, external groups, about the bar, steps you're taking? Where should they go to find that?
Well, if you go to the WSBA web page, which is wsba.org, very easy, you'll find a giant banner with a macroscopic picture of the coronavirus particulates on the website. If you click on that, you're going to find a great website, I think. It's called our COVID-19 Information and Resources. It has a lot of sub-menus, different practice areas, and the important highlights that are happening as they go on. And we do update it fairly frequently.
Can you give advice to other bar leaders? Everyone is finding their own way. And part of the idea of this conversation is to help you share with others what's working and what's not. In a few words, what kind of advice might you have for other bar presidents across the country?
For other bar presidents, I'd say this: get direct messaging out to your entire membership with specific answers, or at least that the questions have been raised and we're looking at it and what you're doing to ensure, one, continuity of services. And I think this is a great opportunity for lawyers to come together. It's a great opportunity to inspire lawyers to be their best and to bring a shine to the profession, because this situation is going to result in a lot of conflict. And we, again, as I mentioned earlier, are the peacemakers. It's our role to resolve that conflict, and it's our time to shine right now.
And people may want to reach out to you directly and have conversations. Where can they find you, Rajeev?
Oh, yeah, they can find me usually you can call me directly, 360-332-7000. You can find my email, phone number, mailing address on the WSBA website in the legal directory, as long as you can spell my name.
You want to spell it out for us, just so everyone has it?
R as in Robin, A as in Alexander, J as in John, E as in Echo, E as in Echo, V as in Victor, Rajeev. And it's also Rajeev at North Whatcom Law. But again, Whatcom is a very Washingtonian, indigenous, Native American word, so you might just want to look it up on the bar. Well,
I can post I can post your website or post your email up along with this interview, so it's there, and people can also go and find you on WSBA.org. Is that right?
That would be fantastic, Patrick. Right. Thank you.
Rajeev, I appreciate you taking a few minutes to chat with me. I know there's a lot going on as a bar president right now, and I commend you for all the work that you're doing in a very short period of time to help so many people who need it in these times of need, both bar leaders and those that are members of the public that rely on the WSBA and your leadership. So thank you very much for all that you're doing, and hang in there. I hope we can get a chance to catch back up in a couple of weeks, get some updates, and continue to see what's working for you guys.
Well, I deeply appreciate that, Patrick, and you stay safe and keep up your great work. Thank you.
I will. Rajeev, thank you very much. We'll talk again soon.
All right, thanks.